New week, new game, and today we have the Romeo is a dead man. The finest consolation is that once the universe ultimately ends, so too will the miserable existence of Romeo. He will fucking die, and as law rends of us apart, so shall it rend Romeo, as he is destined for this. Romeo is dying to just see what will be there. I do not generally care about thrusting subtextual interpretations upon others, but Romeo is a game is already as the diamond. It's a full of vision, full of wisdom, full of aphorism, but it is aging and quite frankly aching. Grasshopper has generally excelled as differentiating its titles, even when the structural backbone remains consistent across them. The writing views familiar signatures of the studio, pop culture references, themes leading into the mechanics, non-linearity, and the tone of that, while somewhat light-hearted, lends of the more time toward the poetic than the overtly comedic. Once again, you play a law enforcer, a role reminiscent of the Travis Mondo. There is something extraordinary about the creator, and by extension, their collaborators remaining so faithful to a single vision that it coalesced into the recognizable signature. That commitment deserves respect. Yet that vision increasingly drawing on its own in the self-indulgent one cast, in a manner that recalls nothing so much as the late cinema of a Del Toro, only a coat of personality. But then, am I angry on the game? Absolutely. Does Suda have the counterpart akin to Carmack in terms of gameplay design? Not remotely, but his writing is suffused with a passion and meaning. You can lick it. Even the loading screen carries significance. Try to do it. Her surname, then Barodium, is not merely a mecha shout, but also signifies the novel of purity of Romeo and Juliet's love, the recklessness of the Juliet character, and the gradual unfolding of the story. Or, in other words, who Juliet truly is, revealed petal by petal. Generally speaking, the man in question understands how to deploy the symbolism, metaphor, and double entendre to their maximum. Is this retelling of Romeo and Juliet within the whimsical sci-fi framework? Perhaps it is. Indeed it is, despite being more narratively straightforward than some of the studio's earlier catalog. Romeo remains submerged beneath the cast of the characters who ultimately fell into Signify. The game has the audacity to inform us of their fates during the credits, yet the player they are merely vendors one shops for, the quest gives one tolerates, the maker of Cats Are Curious, who it transpires is actually the protagonist's mother, or simply the voices one skipped past. This is a shame because strip away all those distractions, and what remains is precisely Romeo and Juliet. Oh, and please do not play the night by informing me that some of the characters hail from the old games. Simply return to the first paragraph and read it again, okay? The gameplay is at best confused. It is stiff, blunt, and hampered by exceptional camera work. The screen frequently becomes overly cluttered, notably during the sequence in which mobs dance throughout the dim, red-hued doom, rendering combat frustratingly opaque. Annoying, certainly, but not irredeemably bad. It is erratic as the climax was erratic. With more careful curation, it might have worked splendidly. As implemented, it trivializes into the yet another cool fight to battle through. There is a rhythm to the combat, ostensibly set by its creator, but it lacks the depth that Grasshopper might hope to achieve. I recognize that this criticism remains somewhat abstract, yet conceptualizing Suda's work in some more interesting methods. The game oscillates between playing like a Dead Rising or State of Decay, where you fight the hordes, and resembling with a B-tier Souls like a forgotten JRPG that borrows heavily from the worst decisions of the respective genres. The result feels noisy. The levels are some of the weakest parts of the game. There is a whole azorism section that could have been easily nominated to one of the most meaningless levels of all time. A loop stick with the most unbearable gameplay tropes. Most of the levels outside that are mostly soulless, narrow corridors that are often blocked, or another point as they are interviewed with the progression in the subspace. Another shout out is sci-fi tradition or is just BDSM, I don't know. A geometric space filled with the Cuban blocks and mushrooms that you can walk over to regain HP and some upgrade items and key hunts so you can progress. It's incredibly empty, shell and boring as it's meant to be. You are able to cultivate your own bastards, which would help you in the fights. The hero for even though he's much of an acquired taste. No, they are the vibes people. I may not be comprehend how they perceive the raw and the intimately fun nature of the game, as I clearly cannot and I'm frustrated by that. But as important as merit as that may be, I can forgive the game for not being sufficient far or even fulfilling disjointed in its anachronistic design philosophy, because I can clearly tell that Romeo leaked into my life, even if I decide never to play it again. And for the sake of individuation, I would rather have the daredevil who pushes some people away from the death dot. Rome remains a strategy, gets a thumbs up to die another day.